All right, we're going to be using the coordinate grid system in lesson 14-1. Coordinate grid shows location, exact location of an object on a grid. And we use this for GPS, you use it for maps, you use it in computer science when you're trying to do graphic design. So it is something that we use in lots of different fields. On the first grid, plot a point where two lines intersect, name the location of the point, plot and name another point, work with the partner, take turns describing the locations of the points on your first grid, then plot the points your partner describes on your second grid. Compare the first grid to your partner's second grid to see if they match. Use the grids below to solve the problem. This is kind of like you're playing Battleship. So I can do it with you. So if I um, name 2 points on a grid, let's start with that. Let's say I want to make a shape. I'm going to name a couple. You tell me which shape I'm making here. You can see I'm making what we call a rectangle. If I wanted to name the points, I could oh no, I cleared it. Sorry about that. I am going to make a rectangle. Sorry about that again. So let's just hit the wrong dot there. Okay, let's get it. I'm going to actually, the point is going to be at the intersection. So I was just trying to change colors there. So if I call this point A, point B, point C, and point D, I'm going to say point A. If I had to tell somebody how to plot on the second graph, point A on the grid, I would say, starting at origin, you're going to go over 3, and that's in a positive. These are positive numbers. There's no negative signs in front of them. I'm going to go over 3 and up 3. So A is at 3.3. Point B, I'm going to go, starting at origin, I'm going to go over 10. That's my X goes before Y. Always, just think of the alphabet. X always goes before Y. X always goes before Y. So we're going to plot the X line is the first value, always. And the Y line is the second value, always. So for point B, I go over 10, up 3. Point C, I'm going to go over 10, up, and I can look at that little C, and my eyeball is going to go all the way over here to 11. And then D is over 3, up to point 11. So if I were to plot point D, my eyeball would start at 0, it would go over 3, and then it goes up to 11, and where it ends is my point D. And that's how you plot a line, plot a point on a grid. So that point, random purple point I just made, my eyeball starts at 0. It goes over 6 because 6 is directly below my dot. And then it goes up 9. So we call that point, that will be open parentheses 6 comma 9. Or you can call it an ordered pair, they call them. So that page is kind of tricky to do by yourself. You can do it with somebody in your family if you want. And it is how you play Battleship, if you've ever played that game before. All right. Why does the order matter? Why do we have to put the X before the Y? It's math, and we have to be consistent, and it's a rule. The X always comes before the Y so that anybody can find a point that you plot. All right, a map shows the location of landmarks and has guides for finding them. In a similar way, a coordinate grid is used to graph and name locations of points on a plane. So you can see this map uses coordinate grid model to locate objects on the map. And you can use an ordered pair to find the object. A coordinate grid has an horizontal x-axis, and we talked about that. Our x-axis try to get something cool here. I do have other tools. I'm trying to use them, and they're not being cooperative. Fireworks. I keep trying to use that, and it just won't work for me. All right, so well, it's the only one that'll work. I guess it's my Chromebook. So a coordinate grid has an x-axis, that's down here. That's my x-axis, and my y-axis. And they are labeled for you. There's always a little x or a little y. And remember I told you before, if you forget which one comes first, you always plot your x before your y, just like in the alphabet, X, Y, Z. X comes before Y. So try to remember that. So you're always going to plot your X before the Y. And you start at origin. So in C, you're starting at origin. You go over, if you're trying to plot point A, you start at origin, you go over 1, and you go up 3. And you are graphing point E at 05. Do you move to the right 0 units or up 0 units? So explain. Now, what do we do when we have a 0? When we have a point 0.05? Well, let's look at our grid over on the other problem. So if my first value is always X, then actually this first value, you're going to start on the origin. You would start literally there. There's 0, and you would go up 5. So my point would be right here. That's where I would be at 0.5. Do you move to the right 0 units? You do move 0 units to the right, so you don't move at all. So you'd say yes, 0 to the right. This is like programming too. If you've ever played on First in Math, some of the rock, paper, scissors programming games, the same kind of thing. 0 to the right, and then you go on the then you go up 5 on the y-axis. What ordered pair names the origin of any coordinate grid? The origin is always 0 up, or 0 over, and 0 up, so it's 0, 0. Describe how to graph point K at 5-4, or 5, 4, sorry. Describe how to graph point K. So you're going to move 5 units to the right, and 4 units up. And you're always, I like to add starting at origin. This Savvis doesn't usually do that, but for programming, starting at origin. So you always want to start at origin. So let's see what we got here. Write the ordered pairs for B. Pick a different color here. Let's find B. I can see B. Here's B right here. So I'm going to start at 0. And to get to B, I'm going to have to go over 3 and up 2. And my eyeball goes like this. I'm starting here. I stop when I know that B is lined up with my x-axis value. So that's 3. And then how far up do I have to go? And my eye's going over here. And I'm seeing I have to go up 2. So 3, 2. And for A, which I just drew all over. So let me get that back up there. So B, we said, was the ordered pair was 3, 2. A is on origin. You don't go anywhere. You go over nothing and up nothing. So it's 0, 0. In 6 and 7, name the point for each ordered pair on the grid above. So 5, 3, starting at origin, going over 5. I'm going to go over 5 and up 3. That will give me D. Starting at origin, going over 1 and up 4. That will give me C. There you go. Remember, X before Y.